Okay guys, so today in this video, I'm showing you a PC that I built for Boy178 and all the parts that went into it. His channel will be in the description and in my channels page. Okay, first up we have the Ryzen 5 2600, and this is our CPU. I picked the CPU not only because it came with the cooler, because it was a good price of performance CPU. I was going to get the 1600 AF, but it was currently in a higher price than the CPU. They're pretty much the same CPU in performance-wise, so if the 1600 AF is cheaper than 2600, then get the 1600 AF, but if the 2600 is cheaper, get the 2600, so I got the 2600. Next up, we have our motherboard, the ASRock B450M Pro 4, and I picked this motherboard because it was the best budget motherboard you could find, and it's micro ATX, so I can easily put it in the case that I got. And on to the next part. Next up, we have the power supply, the Corsair CB450, and this is a non-modular power supply, so it was pretty difficult to do cable management, but I had to get this power supply because all the other ones were over $100 at the moment, and they were semi-modular. So, on to the next part. Next up, we have our RAM, G-Skill AJS 3000 MHz 288GB DDR4 memory, and I picked it because it was best price performance at the moment, and the Corsair RAM was pretty expensive as well. It was about $80 right now, and these were about $60. Next up, we have our hard drive. It's a Seagate Barracuda 1TB 7200 RPM hard drive. I got it not only because it's for gaming, and because it had 1TB. Next up is our graphics card. It's the Asus Phoenix GeForce GTX 1650 Overclocked Edition. Now, this graphics card doesn't have external power, which concerned me about performance, but it plays games pretty well. Okay, so here's the computer itself, all put together in the Cooler Master Q300L case. Now, I gotta say, it looks pretty darn good. He asked me if he could put RGB in it. I told him absolutely yes. It has 2 RGB headers on that motherboard. And I asked him if he ever wanted RGB to let me know, and I'd put RGB in it. So yeah, I mean, it looks pretty good with the all black aesthetic in it. It plays games pretty well. It meets his streaming needs, and yeah, it also has a cable sticking out the front for a optical drive, so you can play FS19 and FS17 on his new computer. Now, it doesn't look bad with the cable sticking out of it with the magnetic fan filters on it, or yeah, the dust filters or fan filters, whatever you want to call it. They work both the same. I kind of wish the RAM looked a little better, but I was hoping they had heat sinks on them, but it looks fine the way it is right now. So here's the back of the computer. I tried my best with cable management, considering the fact that it's a non-modular power supply. So it looks pretty good, I'll give it that. And the optical drive actually plugs in from those 2 cables that are sticking out on the left there, and it just sits on the top. I actually kind of like that. It's kind of a rednecky kind of way. Even though it doesn't even have a 5¼ inch bay for an optical drive, it still works out fine. I was actually quite surprised that that hard drive fit in the back there. It doesn't have a clear back panel, so you don't see any of that, but the computer, it performs amazingly, it looks great, and I'm very proud of it, and I was glad that Sharkboy was happy with it. And it's a big step up from his laptop, so he can actually stream at 60 FPS 720p, so yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and like and subscribe Sharkboy as well. So see you in my next video. Hopefully it comes out soon.